What's going on, everybody? It's Jason Phillips, and welcome to the Nutrition Coaching Secrets podcast, where I'm about to share with you the education, application, and systems to make it rain as a nutrition coach. Now, over the last 15 years, I've been fortunate enough to help tens of thousands of people achieve the body they desire. And I've also been fortunate enough to help thousands of businesses achieve the financial freedom they desire. And I'm about to bring that information to you. So make sure you enjoy this episode, subscribe, and share it with a friend or another coach that could use this information. So next week really starts like the official curriculum of everything, and really starting the process of ramping everyone's business up. And so no matter where you're at, I was just saying, I had a group of high-level entrepreneurs. We're here in Vegas, and we have 4 one-day events over the next 4 days. And, all of these are doing between 10 and 40K a month. And even at that level, we brought it back to starting with, what is your offer? And because if you don't have an offer, you don't really have a business. I mean, you could generate all the leads in the world. You could be great at selling, but when you get to the part about what your offer is and the value of it, if you don't have something good there, then you kind of suck, and you're not going to make any money. So I just kind of wanted to get your overarching thoughts on offers, like what makes a good offer, what makes a bad offer, and then I think we can kind of like dive in. And if anybody wants to have their offer picked apart, if you guys want us to kind of help you build yours, I feel like we could start there. And then obviously, guys, any questions you do have for Adam in the chat. So, yeah, man, like what are your thoughts? Obviously, you've had a lot of businesses, you've had a lot of success in business, and you understand the importance of a really good offer. What goes through your mind when you're doing that? And like, how do you kind of process all of that?
I love this conversation. And I actually was going through like my old spiral notepads to see what, like, when this was like really on my mind a lot with Mind Pump, and trying to figure out like what our offer would be like, and trying to build sales funnels and email sequencing, and going through all that. And we failed a lot, even in Mind Pump. So I do want to be very transparent with the audience that, part of this process, I continually tell my team is like, don't get so hung up on trying to make everything perfect, and, have a good plan, have a good idea, put it out there, test it, and then, redo it, test it again, redo it, test it again. And, everybody's business model is going to be a little bit different. Like, and why I was really excited to with this conversation is because I think we do this a little bit different because we have a little bit different models, right? So you have a lot of high ticket items, and I'm the complete opposite. We're trying to build towards some high ticket items, but we have small. And so when you have like a really nice high ticket item, a big offer like that, you can kind of work it backwards, and like, okay, our goal is to get the $30,000 annual big hit. And then, okay, well, then we have our 10,000, this thing. And then we have our 5,000, our 1,000, and you can kind of go backwards. So you have this, 10 steps to it. And at each step, you can build tremendous value to try and bump to the next ladder. And I think that's the main thing, is understanding the relationship between value and price. And no matter whether you have a small thing or a massive thing to sell, is trying to build so much value that whatever it is that you're offering almost becomes like a no-brainer because of what you're providing for them. And we struggled. I'll tell you what we did bad first, so that we can kind of go around in that. We can talk about maybe even how you would have done it differently. And what we found out with MAPS Fitness Products was we had a really hard time going out to cold traffic and trying to make an offer for a digital program. And by the way, a digital program that we knew we were selling at a much higher price than what was kind of currently out there in the market. So when we did our market research, we saw that the average digital program online was somewhere between $27 to $59, give or take. And here we are trying to sell our programs at $130 a program. And we don't come with a fancy app. And at this time, we're not well known. And so we started to create all these different offers to try and get this traffic to convert. And we failed miserably at it. And part of why we failed miserably, for a couple of reasons. One, a lot of people can go find similar information out there for free or a lot cheaper than what we were offering. And at that time, Mind Pump has no street cred. So nobody's going like, oh, that's a Mind Pump program, I'm buying that shit for sure. So who are we, and how can we get away with charging such a high price? So we actually tried and retested, did that a bunch, and we failed. What we had more success with, and kind of what we continue to do, although we're moving in another direction right now, is more lead nurturing, where we have our offer is something free, because we need to build that value. If I'm going to convince somebody that my program is better than everybody else's, and I'm going to charge you more money for it, well, shit, I better have a bunch of things leading up to that is going to add value and convince you that it's going to be worth investing more money than what anybody else is charging out there. And so for that reason, we do a lot of like lead nurturing, where we spend money on Facebook ads to go out. And so I'm paying to give people free shit. Like, that's like, we have to do that. Like, nobody is just no random person is going to buy my program because they got hit with an ad. And we've thought maybe that could happen. We were completely wrong. So what we'd have to do is we give free, and these are 5,000 word documents that the three of us sit down and create, that add tremendous value to a very targeted group. And we pay to get that group by giving them something for free. Then when they're inside our email list, we then can continue to give more free content and value to them, so that when I do try and make the leap to the sale, it's a much easier transition. But I know it's a lot, but this first step is knowing who you are trying to go after. I think that regardless if you do things similar to how you do it, Jay, or how we are, I think no matter what, you need to really define who you're trying to go after, what exactly that customer looks like, the bait you're going to use to get them into this process, and then we can kind of work it from there. So, and I know, and I can't, like I said, can't wait to kind of talk this through with you, because I know that you actually have had more success on the funnels, and we've had more probably success on the, email campaigning and lead nurturing. So talk to me a little bit about that.
It's interesting. There's two things that I want to unpack in there. One is the fact that we both heavily agree on the fact that your first offer doesn't have to be a sale. And I think that everybody thinks about the offer in terms of like trying to immediately convert a sale. And there's different stages that I view conversion to have. And conversion from super cold lead to paying customer, in my eyes, has 5 steps. And that is, you have to capture the attention of the lead. You have to create some level of engagement. You have to move to an intimate, owned environment. You have to have a sales conversation, and ultimately you have to collect the cash, right? And so what you described, in my opinion, is capturing that attention, facilitating that engagement, and movement to an intimate environment that you own, which for you guys, an email list. For us, we do a little bit more in the Facebook group, but it's the same premise. We're moving you to an environment where you can be nurtured, where we can give you value. And so the offer as it stands is value. And I love that, because when we look at all of the coaches in here, lots of brand new coaches, instead of thinking and asking yourself, how can I sell everybody that comes in contact with me? What you should be asking yourself is, what offer can I make to add value? And I want to ask a question of everybody in here, because I asked this question in our training today. If I could guarantee you that 12 months from today, you began making $25,000 per month and it was ongoing, would you take that offer? Yes or no? I would love for you to put that in the chat.
Hell yes.
Right. Everybody says yeah, right? But here's the problem. Everybody's actions are in direct contrast to that. Because we understand that to facilitate $25,000 a month, there's a lot of value that has to be given to a lot of people. And so instead, what we're doing is we're going out and we're trying to facilitate sales on day one, not value on day one. And if you guys actually study Mind Pump, they are the case study of what we're discussing. They knew that if they went and they added value to people for quite some time, and by the way, their offer, as it was listen to our shit and we're going to give you value. Then it was, we're going to give you free downloads. And they kept making offers to give and give and give. And their offer was converting. It just wasn't converting in monetary currency. It was converting in the currency of attention. And the currency of attention is the very first thing you need. And then they were smart enough to say, now we're going to convert that attention that they've earned into owned attention. And they had your attention on email list. Now you're in an intimate environment with them. They've given you enough value over time that when they present a sale, an offer as it is, you're now prepared to spend monetary currency. But that was years in the making. That was not days, it was not weeks, it was not months. And so most of us in the coaching space are so afraid to make offers under the currency of value versus the currency of money. And I think that's a really big distinction. The other thing you said in there, and I think that a lot of people probably missed it, is that you were putting out MAPS products and you compared it to other fitness products that were selling, and you even had a price range that had been predetermined. And I actually think, as somebody on the outside that understands monetization and understands marketing, I actually think what you guys have done so well is you sell MAPS. You don't sell fitness programs. MAPS is a methodology, and it's been branded beautifully. And so everybody believes in the methodology of MAPS. It's not a power program. It's not a strongman program. It's not a prime program. It's MAPS. And you believe in these programs because it's MAPS, right? And so you guys understand that methodology works. That's their framework. That's their unique opportunity. And so now their offer is completely different. You can either buy a strength training program or you can buy a MAPS program. And you know definitively you're getting a better offer with the MAPS program because they have defined the wins that you will achieve inside of that. So I think the critical components of offer is really a function of value, because nobody buys anything. They invest on perceived return of value. What are your thoughts on that, dude?
No, I think that's spot on. And I also
pause 1 second. Marcus, don't sell the method or process. Don't do that. That's the worst thing in the world.
I missed that. So you just chimed in right there.
Yeah. He just put that comment. Don't sell the process. In fact, 99% of people sell the process. Here's the reality. Here's why you don't do that. Most overweight people are overweight. Why? Go ahead and unmute yourself. Why are people overweight? They don't like to train and they don't like to diet, right? Like, we can logically agree on that. They probably don't like the gym, nor do they like healthy food very much.
Right.
So if we sell them the process, hey, motherfucker, you're going to have to
doesn't sound good.
You're going to have to train and you're going to have to eat healthy food, things that you don't like. Hey, by the way, you should pay me to do something you don't like.
Right. Okay.
How's that going to work?
Yeah, not very well.
Not very well. But if we said, hey, dude, you're finally going to lose those 50 fucking pounds, and here's the 4 things that you need to do it, and it has nothing to do with training or diet, do you think they might listen a little bit more?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Sell the wins, not the process.
Gotcha.
Got it.
You know, I have something that I can add to that I found a lot of people struggle with this. I think we struggle with it. And I had a really pivotal moment when we were interviewing Tom Bilyeu the very first time. And he made a statement that kind of stuck with me forever. And I tell people this all the time because I do believe in it. And that is that anything that can be free will be free. And if you're in a business of starting up like an e-commerce and you want to sell something or a service that you want to sell, and you kind of have that in the back of your mind that, dude, there's somebody out there that's probably providing something very similar as what I'm trying to monetize for absolutely for free. I got to be careful. I got to really think about that. And I can't be afraid to give some of my knowledge away that most people want to monetize, to give that knowledge away for free so you can build that value and gain their attention, like you're saying, Jay. That I think that's what happens a lot of times. These trainers and coaches, like, they're like, okay, I know what my service is, what my value is. And, you know, teaching them how to break down their macros or teaching them how to periodize their workouts. Like, that's my secret sauce. And that's what all my education is. And so I don't want to teach that when they pay me, then they're going to get that stuff. And it's actually in this world, this virtual world we all live in now, it's kind of backwards thinking. It's kind of old way of selling, is keeping this kind of paid wall up of, you know, I'll give you a little bit of information, but the stuff that's really juicy, you got to pay to get to that. And you can't lead that way. You got to lead with your best stuff. It's the opposite. In this world, it's like, man, I got to get the attention of someone who has no freaking idea who I am. And so I can't be afraid to give the stuff that I worked so hard and went to school for and spent all these years. And that example is what Mind Pump is on the podcast. There is not a single person that has listened to all the episodes that cannot take that information and build their own programs. We give away everything that we sell. You got to think of that. And we never went into it going like, okay, well, let's talk about programming, but let's make sure we don't tell people how to organize exercises, or let's not, you can't do that. And you can't be worried about that, you know, and there's always going to be people that are going to, you know, we definitely have people, we have hundreds, maybe thousands of people that listen to Mind Pump, take notes like crazy, build their own program, and don't spend money on our business. That's just a part of it.
And that's
so
cool,
what?
though.
Yeah, so what? And they still love, by the way, they love us though for us, and they tell everybody else about it, because guess what they end up doing? They love us, they get all this great free content, they utilize it, it changes their life, and they go tell 5 friends. And guess what? 2 of those 5 friends pay for everything. They're too lazy to listen to every single episode. They trust their friend who said, go listen to Mind Pump. These guys are the real deal. They'll teach you everything. And those people show up, and those people end up buying. So by proxy, we end up getting twice as much sales, even though that one person buys nothing from us the entire time. So I think that's one of the biggest hangups I see when people are trying to create an offer, is they're trying to think, okay, this is my one thing to sell, and so I've got to protect it and only give so much free stuff away. And then their free stuff sucks. The stuff that you're trying to build value and to gain their attention is kind of shitty. So you got to come with it and build so much value that when it does come time for the offer, they're like, oh my gosh, Jason's already given me this course. I've already listened. He's already taught me this, and I've already applied it. And holy shit, like, yeah, no brainer. $100 a month. Are you kidding me? Like, that's crazy.
I'll share with you exactly how, like, my thought process going into that is I have a saying inside of our company. We say, build better clients. Right. And so if you come to me with like absolutely nothing, that's difficult for me. It's going to take a much longer ramp up than if you come to me with like some sort of foundation. If anybody in here has attended any of the free trainings I've done in our Nutrition Coaching Secrets group, I give away the farm. Like, I honestly hold nothing back. I'm like, here's how you make $10,000 a month. I literally, there's an ad running to my cash frameworks that other coaches are trying to rip off of me. Right? Like, I explain in detail exactly how our clients make money, because I know that fundamentally, if I can get you from like $0 to $3,000 or $4,000, or even $0 to $10,000, that you're likely to invest in me taking you from $10,000 a month to $100,000 a month. And by the way, if you have the solid foundation of $10,000 a month, I can scale you to $100,000 a month a hell of a lot faster, because you have some of the prerequisites it's going to take. I would argue, and Adam, I don't know the answer to this question, but I would believe with some level of functional awareness as to what you guys preach in MAPS, if they have that level of awareness, the execution and the implementation of MAPS programs is probably a little bit easier, right? They understand why they're doing things and they believe in it. Therefore, they're more likely to be compliant.
100%.
Right.
Jason, we could literally teach everybody that's on this call right now, even how we'll use what we're currently doing right now to build something that ends up having massive offers off of it. So when we first got together and decided to do this, my one thing was, all right, Jay, as long as I'm down to do something like this, so long as whatever we charge for it, we fucking kill it on what we provide. Because if we do that, it sets the foundation for anything we want to build. So we're not going to get rich off of this year of doing these calls right now. But if we impact every single person that comes through here and they go, holy shit, that was the best $100 a month I've ever spent in my life, and you go out and you tell all your friends about that, it now sets us up for all the other things that we can pile on top of that. So you're witnessing something starting like that right now, being a part of what we're doing right now. There absolutely can be all these upsells down the road, but the first step to that, and we're not worried about it. Like, I know you don't stress about it. I don't think about it right now. Right now, all we focus on is, can we over deliver on value for what we're trying to get right now? And we have everyone's attention here, obviously, right now. Now, can we crush it for the next year, giving them so much impact that, when we decide to add more value and bump more, it'll be an easy transition to be able to do that.
100%, man. And that's how we've approached. I mean, guys, Adam pulls back the curtain. That's the conversations that we have behind the scenes. And even when I was out there 2 weeks ago, I mean, that was the literal conversation we had, was how can we do more? That's why you guys are going to see an even more in-depth curriculum starting next week, that literally it starts at offer creation. We're going to go to lead generation. We're going to go to nurture. We're going to go to sales. We're going to go to LTV. I mean, by the end of the year, if you guys haven't hit significant amounts more of revenue, like, either you didn't implement it or you didn't communicate with us. But that's why we're here to coach you guys up through this, and with like real world experience. So we're super excited to do this. Dude, I want to jump into Q&A, man, because there's a lot of questions, and there were some from the Facebook group. Real quick, I want to address one on here. Jake asks, how do you sell the wins? I'll give you a really good example of our program, which is Coaching Mastery. And, ultimately what we teach you to do is, build a business $0 to $10,000. And I could be like, well, man, like, what we're going to do is we're going to get on phone calls, and you're going to have access to a daily group call. There's multiple calls. You get on those calls, you bring like whatever's not working for you. One of our coaches answers those questions. He tells you exactly what to do. You go implement it for a week. You get on the next call. You bring us your data, we fix that. And basically like we keep doing that until you're at that $10,000 mark. And obviously, inside of those calls, we can talk about things like, what's not working for your leads, and, if you're struggling with sales or anything like that. But, that's how it works, right? Or any questions. And it's like, oh, okay, like you understand the process, right? That's very much process driven. Instead, what I'm probably going to do if I was trying to sell you, is I'm going to be like, dude, first and foremost, if you had the best offer in the world, which by the way is where all business starts, and I inserted you into a lecture hall of 100,000 people, and I said, sell your offer, except the one caveat is all of the seats in that lecture hall are empty. Are you going to convert any sales? No. Well, do you think that if you actually had leads and butts and seats that you could convert some sales? Well, yeah, great. So do we think that the first thing we should attack is lead generation? Yes. See, the problem with most coaches is they try to get you to sell your program, but you don't really have any qualified leads. So when I teach you the skill of lead generation, if that's all I ever did, you'd be able to print money by just making great offers. Fair? Great. Now, the real magic in business is being able to take qualified leads and have them raising their hand, coming to you, asking you to buy your offer. Wouldn't that be nice if you felt like you never had to sell, and instead people came to you asking you to buy your shit? Yeah, great. We call this nurture frameworks. We have 3 that are guaranteed to be bringing in $10,000 every time you use them. Sound good? Great. Now, we get those hands to you. There's $10,000 worth of value there. You definitely need to know how to close them. On a scale of 1 to 10, what would you rate your sales? Probably a 4 or 5. Cool. We're going to get you to a 7 or 8. And then, of course, we're going to teach you how to make your customers more valuable, because it definitely makes sense to make $4,000 from a customer instead of $2,000 from a customer, right? Great. What questions do you have for me? I just told you the wins. You know what you're going to get. You don't give a fuck about getting on calls with me. You don't give a fuck about your homework. You don't give a fuck about when you do it or the modules. You're just like, yo, I'm going to have leads. I'm going to have motherfuckers throwing money at me. I'm going to know how to take their money, and I'm going to make them more valuable, which, by the way, in business is all that matters. Does that answer the question, Jake? I hope. Awesome. You said yes. Cool. Okay. Other questions. So, Adam, Amanda said, how would you best advise a trainer to differentiate themselves from the cheaper trainer down the street? Would you say showing them value is enough and outweighs a cheaper price trainer? Ooh, I love this.
I mean, absolutely, it can be enough, but it depends on how much value you need to do that to convince those. And there's no way to test, or there's no way to know that until you start testing that, right? And I've shared, I think I shared the very first time I came on here, but I talk about the story of when we waited to sell the MAPS fitness programs, and we had done almost 300 episodes. And the point of telling that story to people is that was us constantly throwing spaghetti on the wall. Like, how much more we got to give these people until they are like coming at us that they want more from us. And that's what we were looking for, without pushing, trying to sell myself, not trying to get it. And we had a program ready to sell, but the whole time that we were trying to figure this out, it was like, what do these people want from us? What do they want to learn from us? Where are they going to get the most value from us talking about programming, nutrition? Is it personal health and personal development and growth? Is it talking to them about their relationship? Like, what are these things that are adding and differentiating ourselves from everybody else out there that's trying to sell them a program? Let's just keep giving them stuff, and then we'll track and pay attention. What's being viewed the most? What's being shared the most? What's being commented on? And then doubling, tripling down on that stuff until we get to a point where they're literally asking you for something. I used to teach in my my sales training with my trainers. The difference between a good closer and a great closer is this. A good closer can push anybody to sell. They know how to overcome all the objections. They read all the Zig Ziglar books. They can hammer someone and pressure someone into sell, like, because they practice all that shit together. That's a good closer. A great closer can ask all the right questions to pull somebody into a sell. So that's what you're searching for, is keep asking all the right questions or keep asking questions until you find the right questions. Keep adding value until you start to see the things that are getting shared like crazy and commented on. And then you start to double and triple down in that area until you start buying questions. And buying questions are simply just people going like, would you coach me? Or what would it cost for you to do that? And when you start getting stuff like that, you know you're heading down the right track. And that may look different for everybody on this call. Maybe you're a writer. Maybe you're really good at blogs and you can write content out and you can do it in a storytelling form or first person type of deal. Maybe you're somebody who's just super charismatic on the camera and just you're so good at that. Or maybe you got a great eye and you know how to put together Instagram and you know how to write good, funny captions or compelling stuff. Whatever that is, all those ways are ways to build value on people that are paying attention to you. And you use all those free platforms as a litmus test to tell you where you should direct yourself. And we still use this formula today to drive and steer this business. Is many times we think this is the way and we find out it's not because we put it out there.
Dude, yeah. The only thing I would add to that is don't allow yourself to be comparable to the trainer down the street, right? So on the surface, everybody's selling training sessions, right? And so you're worried that their training sessions are cheaper than your training sessions.
I want to address
training session.
I want to address something that somebody said, and I didn't see who just said it.
Yeah.
But somebody said, but you can't earn a living that way. If this is the worst place you could ever be, okay? So if you hired Jason and you join this group and you are desperate for money and you're trying to find ways just to convert, and that's your main focus in your business, you're heading down the wrong path already. If you're in this entrepreneur game and stuff like that, you got to be down to ride and outwork everybody and not get paid for what you're doing. And if you have the attitude already of that ain't gonna pay the bills or I need dollars right now, you're crazy if you don't think that will come off. Like your people won't be able to feel that or get that. And even if you do get some slimy sales and conversions temporarily, that's not how you build a sustainable business long term.
Dude, I'll tell you a funny story on that. Like anything you sell for money, you're going to resent, like super transparently. And I don't care what level of the game you're at. If you're brand new and you sell an offer purely for money because you need money or you want money, you're going to hate it. And I'll give you a really good example. I remember I had, I was like so close to like my first like $50,000 a month or something like that. Like I had just done like 30 and one of my friends was like, yeah, I did 50. I'm like, I could fucking do 50. And I was like, or no, I was at 50 and I was like, I could do 100. Right. And I'm like, I could add 50. I'll just sell 10 programs at 5K. And I was a coach and I was like, well, I'm going to mentor other coaches and I'm going to charge $5,000 for it. And I didn't have a mentorship. I didn't know the first thing about mentorship, right? This is long before NCI, but I was like, I could do this. And so I built out a curriculum. I really didn't want to do it. I loved coaching individuals. And I was like, and I took on 10 people at 5,000 and I fulfilled it, but I resented the whole fucking thing. And $50,000 was not anywhere near worth the resentment I had those 10 months that I put those people through that program. So never do anything for money. Do it for the value. Do it because you actually enjoy it. Now, Amanda, I do want to address like the one thing though, stop selling training sessions, right? Like the one thing I always say, I tell coaches, stop selling coaching. Like I'm not selling business coaching. I'm selling money in your bank account. I'm selling you having freedom. I'm selling you having a machine that reliably prints money for you. The vehicle by which is maybe your coaching, but I'm not selling us coaching. You got to stop selling training sessions because a training session is only correlative to the mind of the consumer. But if you can sell them and you can literally say, hey, listen, you want to pay $20 a training session for, fuckface down the street? Great. Have at it. Totally cool. I respect that. Like $20 is great. They'll count your reps. Maybe they'll even pat you on the ass. Super cool. But can I ask you, why do you go to the gym? You love it? Oh, well, why do you need someone to put you through a training session? Well, I don't know what to do. Oh, there's these free things online. You want me to find them for you? You love going to the gym. There's free programs. I'll just send them to you. No. I actually need the accountability. Oh, okay. So you just need accountability. Well, what do you need accountability for? Well, I'm trying to lose 30 pounds. Well, how's that working right now? Well, I've been seeing this trainer for, a couple months and I haven't really lost any weight. Oh, so you're going to keep spending money on shit that doesn't work? That actually sounds really expensive long-term. See, I get it. My sessions might be more per hour, but you're going to have to work with me a much shorter amount of time because I guarantee my results in 90 days. You want to talk more about what you're trying to achieve? Sell the outcome. Stop selling the training session. Sell the wins, right? Your offer has to have that. So guys, we said this statement on the podcast. Really good sales conversation. All you're doing in a sales conversation is helping the consumer understand that they are inadequate relative to achieving the goal they desire. That's it. They do not have the solution they need to get to where they want to be. Inside of that, you're reminding them where they want to be, all the things they've tried don't work, and that they are hopeless, they are lost, and that you have the solution. You don't have a process, you have a solution. You have wins. They can see themselves achieving those wins. At that point, price doesn't even matter. You collect the investment. So let me jump into more questions, dude.
Yeah, on that point, Google the 5 steps of awareness. That's a good one to remember.
That's so good. I love that.
Yeah.
All right. So from the Facebook group earlier today, these may be off the topic of offer, but Aaron said, what can I do to structure my business better? Systems, ideas, keeping track of client progress, and how to start online training.
Oh God, that's a terrible one to
That's
ask
so
me. I'm
deep.
But you know what? And being true, honestly though, that's a lot of systems and organization stuff. So my Achilles heel, I probably would say Jason's is too. I think we're similar in this area.
Oh, yeah.
Was my organization skills. And you know what? There'll come a time where you'll have to do this if you're one of these people and you can relate to this. And it's very hard to do, going back to like chasing the dollar and stuff like that. When you get to a place where you're finally putting food on the table and you're finally making a little bit of money, is giving up some of that to have somebody assist you so you don't have to worry about that if you're not very good at that. So that was something that I learned early on in my career. It's actually how Justin and I became so close. Was I hired him as a trainer. He wasn't my number one trainer that as far as sales was concerned, or he had anything super fancy about him that made him so special over everybody else that worked for me, except for that he complimented me better than anybody else. And his strengths were my weaknesses, and organizational skills and things like that were what he was so good at. And I figured that out early on, and I started to contract people out. And sometimes there was times when I'm starting a business and I just start making a little money and I give up that money right away to make sure that plate that is tight, so I don't have to worry about that. I know that's probably not the answer the person who just asked that question wants to hear, but it's the truth for me. Like I'll be the first to admit that I'm not the best person to sit here and tell you like, oh, you should organize like this and build these spreadsheets and this systems and this works for me. Like I'm a mess. And I know I was a mess early on, and I got great advice when I was younger. And my buddy told me, he said, remember telling him, don't focus on the things you're not good at. Focus on the things you're good at and be fucking great. And that sat with me forever because I was constantly trying to improve my systems and my organizational skills. And it was taking away from the things that I could crush and that I was really good at, but I was hung up on what I wasn't good at. So I quickly found people to assist me in that area so I could put more time and effort. And it's kind of scary to do that sometimes at first, but when you really recognize that the areas that you're strong in, you can get comfortable with giving up your money to somebody else to do the things you're weak in, because you'll make up that difference of what you have to pay them if you're just focusing on the things you're great at. So I know it's not a really good answer.
Oh, I think it's a perfect answer. I honestly do, because I love the notion of outsourcing. And I think that you got to understand there's only 2 things that drive business forward. Like you as an entrepreneur, there's only 2 things you should focus on. One is your energy. Second is your economics, right? And so obviously you need to be bringing in more money than you're spending to remain profitable, but you have to guard your energy. And I think every entrepreneur overlooks this, myself included, for like a decade. And here's the reality. The more I start to protect my energy, the better I become. And so if I have to focus on shit that I absolutely hate, one, it puts me in a bad mood. Second, it drains me way faster than anything productive. And third, it pulls me down for the productive work. So my quality of work when I am working has now come down. So if you don't like the organization shit, outsource it. There's motherfuckers on Fiverr for like $5. There's VAs that would do it for super cheap, right? There's such cheap help. There's people that will intern for you for teaching them your craft. Focus on getting the results, because at the end of the day, results is what's going to drive people forward. Build an epic quality product and then figure out the other stuff and outsource it if you have to. Like, this is coming from the two people that probably hate the admin side the most. And I can tell you, like, it's hands down, you can get there, because I mean, I run a multi-million-dollar business and I suck at admin. So
one of my realtors just and I'll if you hold me accountable, I'll follow up and give you guys the actual name. But she like swore by this company, and they're based out of the Philippines, and they basically have like 30 different people get to interview with you for your job that you're offering, and it's like dirt cheap what you're paying per hour for this assistance. And like, she told me like they are over the top killer. And you, like I said, you get to interview like 30 different people to narrow down like the perfect person. Like, you give them the categories of things you need help with, what type of business you have. So if you guys remind me, I'll look up the name of that business, because I think would be a huge help for someone like that.
Yeah. VA service for sure. Awesome. Let's see. Is this relevant to working in a big box gym or only relevant to online training? I mean, if you're working in a big box gym, my assumption is your systems have been built for you.
Well, so if you're talking about a big box gym, that's Justin for me there. That's why part of the promotion, making him my assistant, was so I could delegate those things to him. And if you're working for a big company, and I don't know how strict your bosses are and stuff like this, but this is the thing that I would even though that maybe his title or someone's title wasn't, I did this with trainers too. Like, if I found somebody who worked for me who had those skill sets, I would find ways to get them to assist me. And sometimes I had to compensate them through, buying lunch for them or helping them close deals on the floor, because that's what I was really good at. So you can get creative here. So if you're the good at sales guy, if we're talking about big box gyms, right? Or good at lead generation, but you're terrible at keeping your books and being organized, I would find somebody who'd be like, hey, I tell you what, dude, if you help me do these things, I'll help you do these things. And there's not even any monetary exchange there. So you could just think like that. I would think outside the box. If I'm in a situation like that, where I know I need help and assistance there, I know I'm not good there. Okay, let me find somebody who's got that banking background, or is super organized in this area, that could really help me. And for them, it's like no big deal. And I bet they're lacking in one of the areas I'm strong in, and then we would help each other.
100%, dude. Claudia, I think, goes back to, she said, I think her problem is to have a step wins precisely, since it always depends on the client. I have the impression that's what I'm struggling with the most, like having clear steps and a script about how you're different. So I actually am going to challenge you on that. And I'm going to say that if you look at how you work with most people, I bet you have the same steps every single time. And I actually had, I had 4 high-level people in here today, and I would venture to say all 4 people, they all have different businesses, right? They all work with different client avatars. All 4 of them, to some degree, as a nutrition coach, I said, what's the very first thing that you do? And they were like, well, most of the times I have to reverse diet. And I was like, interesting. So the very first thing you do with most people is you restore metabolic function, right? Right. Well, what's the next thing you do? I help them lose fat. Great. What do you do after that? I teach them habits to sustain it. Great. So really, like, your wins are metabolic restoration, fat loss acceleration, and lifestyle optimization. Okay, cool. Well, obviously the application to each client in their own unique circumstance is going to be slightly different, but don't you think that those are big wins that virtually any person can experience? Great. So whether they have to eat 50 more carbs, 500 more carbs, stop training, train more, sleep more, have less sex, I don't know, right? Like, at the end of the day, don't you think that like the individual application still comes down to some level of stress management, some level of nutritional implementation, and some sort of lifestyle management? Great. Sell them those wins. Stop selling the process. Because I can tell you, as a high-level entrepreneur, if I go to somebody and you're like, dude, you're going to have to sleep more, I'm like, yeah, go fuck yourself. because I don't sleep enough and I'm fully aware of it, right? I'm okay with that. But if you start talking to me about stress control and helping me balance out cortisol, okay, I might listen, right? I might be pissed off once I get inside the program and I realize I'm supposed to sleep more. And I'm like, well, this fucking sucks. But at least you've gotten me under the notion that I need to balance out sympathetic and parasympathetic. And that would be a win. Does that make sense?
When you talk about wins, Jay, I know that's like your terminology that you use. Is that like commitment at the steps of the value ladder? Is that what you're explaining?
No, so value ladder, I think, goes back to like what we talked about earlier, which is just giving value at different levels and ultimately leading to like a higher ticket sale. I'm talking about inside of like the offer itself. So like when I'm selling you something, I'm not selling coaching, right? Like I always say coaches should not sell coaching. And because coaching is so fucking commoditized, there's tens of thousands of coaches, if not hundreds of thousands of coaches in this world. So how are you going to separate yourself? And I promise you, if I put all of you in one room and I said, hey, Claudia, why should I hire you and not Desiree? Actually, you know what? Unmute yourself.
Hi, sorry for my English.
Desiree is above you on my Desiree is above you on my screen. Why should I hire you and not Desiree?
That's my problem, actually. I don't know what to say about that.
Hey, Desiree, unmute yourself. Hey, you're next to Kristen on my screen. Why should I hire you and not Kristen?
Really throwing me on the spot here.
Well, you got to be able to sell yourself.
I haven't got to that process yet.
Okay. Oh. Hey, Kristen, you're next to Laura on my screen. Why should I buy from you and not Laura?
Okay, so it's like on the spot, it's hard. So why should you buy from me instead of Laura? Because I can help you. I'm nervous. Because I can help you to. I can help you meet your goals.
Hold on, pause. Hey, Laura, can you help me meet my goals?
Absolutely.
Oh shit, Kristen, why should I hire you and not Laura?
Oh, I don't know, man.
Oh, because I'll be the last trainer you'll ever need. That's why.
Right.
I'll be the last.
Hey, but here we go. Hey, Laura, are you willing to be the last trainer I ever need?
Duh.
Fuck. So here's the big problem. And this is the commoditization of coaching. How are you now going to set yourself apart? Ryan, you're not going to be able to ask questions there because I'm just asking why I should, right? You have to sell the wins, but how am I going to make the decision? Kristen, if I perceive you and Laura to be the same, how am I going to make the decision? I'm going to make a decision on price.
It's cheaper, yeah.
Right. I'm just going to, so now you got to be the cheapest fucking coach in the world because there's no benefit to being second cheapest. There's only one cheapest. Like we understand that. Second cheapest doesn't mean shit. So somewhere out there, there's some motherfucker that's whoring themselves out for $50 a month. I promise you. And they're like, watch this. I'm going to win the commodity game. $50 a month. I will never sleep. Somebody's doing it. So you might as well be the most expensive and you might as well deliver a win that somebody wants. So if you're asking me how it's going to be different, well, here's the reality. Coaching or no coaching, I'm going to give you what you actually need. Great. Well, here's what Laura and Kristen are probably going to do. Are you guys going to give me a diet? Are you going to give me a diet? Macros? Yeah? Great. Here's the problem, Mrs. Jones. How many other diets have you tried? Oh, 9 or 10. Got it. Why is their diet going to be any different? Because here's the reality. Diets are supposed to work. So you tried these diets and yet they didn't work. My assumption after 9 or 10 is it's not the diet. It's you. Now, I'm not saying you're a bad person. I'm saying that something inside might be broken. And do you think that if we never address that any diet's going to work? No. Okay, great. Well, go hire Kristen and Laura, and they'll charge you $100 for a diet that still won't work. Or you can come to me, and we can start on repairing your metabolism so that any diet will work in the future. Which do you think you should do? Keep selling diets and offers, or come to me doing something different? You see how I completely flipped the frame? You guys can
Yeah.
go do random fucking swipe workouts, or you can follow a MAPS program for 12 weeks that will leave you feeling and looking the way you want. Either one. But, you know, I heard those influencer guys, they got great swipe workouts. So just choose your workout of the day and still feel like shit. Great idea. You have to be able to differentiate. And this is offer creation, like 101. And everyone right now is like, fuck, I don't have an offer. I know. I get it. I promise you we'll fix that next week.
I think part of the challenge, why everyone on the spot, which is, it is challenging trying to give you what you want, especially if I didn't have the option to, or I didn't have the opportunity to ask a lot of questions before, right? So, you know, in a perfect world, I know all the objections this person is going to have, all the times, all the things they've had pitfalls with before, and that's why I said the comment that I'll be your last trainer. The reason why I'll be your last trainer is because I'm going to address all the things that we're going to do different that everybody else was teaching you wrong, right? And like to your point of using MAPS fitness products, you know, what we knew, there was a huge opportunity in the space to create really good programming. So I don't know how familiar everybody on here is with MAPS programming systems, but one of the things that we saw all over the place is 90%, maybe more, of programs that are sold online are literally trainers throwing a bunch of random creative exercises together. Unless you're in the strength community where it's a little bit more science-based, for the most part, your influencer people that are selling millions of dollars worth of programs, they're just throwing a bunch of cookie cutter exercises, making them look weird and unique, and that's the way they sell them. And so in the show, we address that to point out how all the programs that you guys have all been following are all the wrong programs for all these reasons. And if you follow a MAPS fitness program, we are going to do this, 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 and this. And so I think it's tough to hit everybody on the spot right now and get these guys to probably be able to say all that. But I think that a lot of what makes coming up with the offer is also, you got to understand the need of this customer and where you're unique, where you're not going to be just like, if you're going to write another cookie cutter program, you're going to have a hell of a time selling, because you're right. It's going to be a race to the bottom. So you have to have a unique proposition for these people that differentiates you from everything else that everybody's offering. One of the best ways to do that is to gather as much information as you can from this person. So we used to do this exercise where when we were trying to teach trainers to sell, and we would have them ask all these questions. And then when they sold the program, they would have to make the program up. It would have to be a unique made up program, but it would have to be customized to all the things that they addressed as their concerns. And then I would go back and I would check all the things that I said in the questionnaire that they circled back and said in their presentation. It was just a really good exercise to get somebody on the fly to be able to say like, oh, okay, I have this tire program. In the first month, I'm going to teach you. This is what's unique is most people are doing this. This is why we're going to take you through that, right? And so I would address everything that person, every challenge that person has had, and give them what you call the wins in my presentation, and why you would commit to me, and why once you commit to me, you're never going to have to go anywhere else.
Love that.
So,
and by the way, you could factor that into your offer where you make a guarantee where I will be the last coach you ever need, because if we don't achieve your outcome in X time frame, I will continue to coach you for free, which time delay, right, and certainty of achievement are two functions of building a really high quality offer that I'm going to teach you guys next week. Okay. So, I want to address Jake. He said, my bluntness is dope because it's real without being rude. How can you work on that if you aren't always as blunt? Dude, I'm just a dickhead. I don't know how better to say it. Like, I'm just a fucking asshole, and I don't really I've never censored myself. I got nothing for you, man. Honestly, dude, it's
he's too blunt, or he's not blunt enough. What's he asking?
He said he loves my bluntness and he's trying to become more blunt because he's never like that. He said train him to be a dick.
The truth to that, okay, the real truth to that is being 100% comfortable with who you are, whether you're a nerd or you're goofy or you're funny or you're witty, smart. What doesn't matter what you are, but being 100% authentic and yourself. And the more Jason just happens to be a motherfucker who likes to say motherfucker and do those things, and he's comfortable doing that. That doesn't necessarily mean that you need to be a motherfucker and say motherfucker when you're presenting to everybody. But he's so committed to being who he, and I love this. Is one of the things that why we're so close is because I'm like this too. I don't give a shit what anybody thinks about me. I'm going to be who I am, flaws and all.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna apologize for my lisp and making words up and doing all the bullshit that I do all the time, because it is who I am and I own it. And I'm comfortable.
And that's it, man. That's it. Like, and honestly, dude, like that's 100% what I would say is I'm me, dude. Like if I try, like I've been asked to take stages and they're like, can you not swear? And I say, yeah, I can. Like I 100% have the ability to censor myself, but I'm very transparent. I'm like, I feel like you're going to get a lower amount of passion. My assumption is you're booking me based on the passion and fire that I bring to the stage. So if I'm thinking consciously about the words coming out of my mouth, then you're probably going to get like a 9 out of 10 versus a 10 out of 10 or a 12 out of 10. And I just want to make sure that we're super clear on that.
Yeah. And it's also, and you talk about this a lot, like, you want to attract the customer that is going to appreciate that part of you. Like nobody is signing up for an NCI Jason Phillips coaching course and is offended by fuck. There's just nobody. Just no, unless you're that desperate for his information that you're cringing every time. But most people you love him regardless, and that doesn't bother you. And so you're not worried about putting out fires with all these people. So Mind Pump did this early on. Like early on, we came out raw as shit, over the top, because we wanted to attract a customer that had our sense of humor, that appreciated the information that we were providing, that weren't going to judge us for X, Y, and Z. So be you, be authentic, be yourself. Know that you're going to piss some people off. Know that not everybody's going to be attracted to you. That's okay. I don't want them as customers anyways. I used to call it thinning the herd on my stories every time I would throw something edgy or racy out there, because get rid of those people that offends. I don't want them in my group anyways. I don't want them buying shit from me.
I think you just nailed it too, man. I mean, you and I are at the point where there's a luxury of we've been exposed to having a large volume of clients. And so we appreciate having the right clients. And I think that when you're a new coach, you're open to taking anybody. And I don't mean this in the sense like you're a new coach, you'll take people that will say fuck or don't say fuck or anything like that. But I do mean this as like, if you're a brand new coach, you should know who you help, how you help them, and what the solution you provide is. And you guys haven't read the book Built to Sell. It's a great lesson on this. It's about a guy who owned an advertising agency and he wanted to sell the business. And his mentor was basically like, your business has no valuation because you suck at a lot of things. You're marginally good at most things, but you're not great at anything. So there's no valuation. No company is going to buy marginally good. And so his recommendation was become really fucking good at one thing. And he became great at one thing and he ultimately sold the business, right? So you guys got to get crystal clear. What is the solution you provide? What is the product? And you got to be the fucking best at it. And you also have to be really comfortable saying no. Like I can tell you guys definitively, there are better nutrition coaches than me in the world right now because I haven't honed my craft in like the last 3 years. Prior to that, I really believe I was one of the best in the world. But I don't hone that craft anymore because I also believe now in the business space, you're not going to find anyone better than me. I can scale you from 0 to at least $30 million because I have those levels of experiences and I understand the arbitrages to get there. If you're trying to go north of 30 million, there's people far better than I am. But from 0 to 30, I believe I'm one of the best in the world. And that's where I put it. So now when nutrition coaching clients come my way and they say, Jason, can I hire you? I said, no, you can't. Number one, because it's not in my value system to take money for that service anymore. I value my time higher than that. But number two, I can't take your money under the premise that I'm the best solution anymore. And so it's my job to now direct you to the best solution. So when you guys are taking money from your clients and you're making offers, you got to know damn good and well that if you invest this money, I'm giving you 100% what you need. Because there's part of being a human being as well and being authentic as a human. And that's understanding that this person worked really hard to get that money. And they're now choosing, I don't have a gun to their head, they're making a conscious choice to invest it with you. That's pretty fucking dope, man. Like, that's pretty fucking rad. We get to do things on our own time, on our own volition, in an industry that we love. And we have supreme trust from individuals to fundamentally change their lives. I bet all of you have a story as to why you've chose health and fitness. For me, I was an insecure anorexic. And I know what the power of overcoming my insecurity and anorexia did. It fundamentally changed my life. And all of you have the same ability to impart that on other people. Jay got a follow-up. If you have that deep-rooted insecurity, are there really any ways to practice being real? Dude, 100%, man. You're talking to the most insecure fucking 20-year-old ever. Like, I promise you, I don't know how old you are. I don't know where you're at in life. I promise you, my insecurities were way worse. 22. Dope. Dude, I'm happy to have a conversation with you. Like,
I'll give you I love talking about this too, because
yeah, I love it.
This is my for sure my wheelhouse too, because I was all kinds of insecurities and still to this day. I mean, I think that
yeah, dude, listen, I still am.
Yeah, I'm always working on that. And I share this exercise with people that ask me about developing self-awareness and emotional intelligence. So I'll give this to you guys that care about this or that want to work on this. So I used to, at the end of the night, if you practice journaling or some of that, you can do this as a mental exercise or write it down. There's no rules to how you do this, but I would make a conscious effort at the end of the night to kind of recap my day of all the things that happened throughout the day. And in particular, I was looking for the things that created an emotional state change, something that either made me really high, that made me super happy, or something that pissed me off, made me angry or sad. And the things that I was most concerned about, the ones that made me happy, those were important. I would check those and go, okay, these are things that I want to keep in my life. You know, oh, I got to see an old buddy and we had coffee and it gave me joy and we laughed, we had a good time. Oh, that's an important value in my life. I need to make sure that I foster that, right? And then most importantly, for the insecurity stuff, I'm looking for the things that made me angry, upset, sad, mad at somebody. And when I looked at those things, right, somebody said something to me on social media or someone made a comment and I got angry inside. And I remember, and I battled them back and forth or I mouthed off to them. When that happens, okay, that has nothing to do with that, what that person said, because they have no real ability to actually affect your personal feelings. You allow them to do that because of your own insecurities. And so when I'd have those moments where I get, and this works in relationships and shit like that too. So when I have those moments, I would unpack why did I get upset when he said that? You know, he just made a comment about, you know, oh, it's not like he was shitting on my business for not being successful or something. And I felt the need to come over the top of it or some shit like that. And I'd be like, why is that? Like, why is that? Why would that bother me from somebody who doesn't even know any better, this and that? Oh, I know why it bothers me. Well, because I was a kid that grew up with nothing and I worked really hard to get where I'm at. And I'm still insecure about that I feel the need to tell people I'm so successful or I made all this money. And so when somebody shits on it or does that, it fucking riles me up enough to where I want to say something and defend that. There's work to be done there. That means I need to work on that. And I need to do things, whether that means put myself in those positions and challenge it. But the first step to all this is just becoming aware of that. So then in the future, you can start to handle it real time. So then when I'm sitting in a moment like that and somebody says something to me and my natural reaction is to want to flex my wallet or tell them, you know, what Mind Pump made last year or some bullshit like that, I catch myself and I go, no, dude, I'm not gonna allow myself to do that. And you can start to do that in real time. The same thing applies in your business when you guys are working on those personal insecurities that are bleeding over into your sales presentations, is because you keep doing that because you're not working on the insecurity. So learn to address them, learn to become aware of it, practice that. If you get really good at that, you'll start to do it in real time. And it doesn't ever, I don't know if I ever believe it goes away completely. I think you just get better at handling it. Still to this day, if I'm in a room, this happened not that long ago, where I'm in a room where we're at like a suite at the Shark Tank or whatever, watching hockey or some shit. And in there is nothing but millionaires, PhDs, and little old me inside of me. And I'm having these conversations because maybe I didn't finish my degree and I'm talking to this PhD. I feel this need to flex on that person. And I catch myself wanting to say something in conversation. And I go, fuck, what am I doing? That person didn't ask me that. They don't care what I drive or where I live or anything about that. But because of my insecurities, I have this desire to want to say that. Now, because I'm very aware of that, I practice this all the time. This is something that I've learned to curb. And so when you're working on insecurities, the work isn't just saying, hey, I'm insecure about being skinny. Like, you've got to learn to catch when you allow that to leak out. And you should never allow somebody else to control that. And it started with me doing it as a practice every single night, sometimes journaling it, writing it down. It's now worked into my life to where I can catch it real time and be aware of it.
Yeah, let me also do this, man. Let me just acknowledge you for even and Jake for openly talking about it. I think at 22, I don't think I had the awareness to say I was insecure.
Right.
I think I was still in the process of covering it up. So first of all, man, like step one, good for you. Second of all, I couldn't agree with everything that Adam said anymore. I think that honestly, man, insecurity comes from desire and like a deep rooted desire for something that we don't have. And so it's that not having it. And so for me, like my insecurity that led to anorexia was like, I felt like I didn't have the attention from girls. I felt like I didn't have the respect from guys. And so I went out in constant pursuit of it. And I think that now, you know, at 37, I would ask myself, why do I need attention from women? Why do I need respect from guys? And I would be so like super cool not having it. And so I think it, you know, a lot of things that you hear described in the self-help world are like scarcity and abundance. And I'm actually so against both of those fucking words, because I think that they make a very strong implication that you have a desire. And my only desire is to maximize every day. Like whether I have something or I don't have something is really a moot point to me. If I don't desire something, I don't need to live in abundance. I don't need to ask for more because I don't have a fucking foundation. And if I don't have a desire, I can't be scarcity of not wanting something. So like at the end of the day, I have a very flat, like I'm going to simply be the best today. And some days that's fantastic. And some days it's pure shit. And I have absolutely no judgment about it because when I put my head on the pillow, I know that my effort was 100 and I'm good with it. And that's taken me 37 years to get to. Right. So I would like the only thing I would add on top of what Adam said is one, be patient and stop looking at insecurity as a super negative thing because it's not. By the way, every really big entrepreneur I know started in insecurity. Because I feel like we all have a chip on our shoulder and we all have to prove things wrong, right? And then number two, like you've already done it, but just stop wanting shit, man. Like start doing shit and stop wanting shit. Like that's actually what drove my most negative behaviors was even when I first made millions of dollars, I spent millions of dollars because I still wanted the attention. Now I don't give a fuck. Like I walk into the nicest steakhouses in the world in like a t-shirt and shorts. And I'm like, I don't care if you think I'm a bum, like cool. Because I don't really need your respect, nor do I care about you. So it's just one of those things where like you got to be you. But dude, honestly, man, if you want to reach out, I'm super happy to have a conversation, as I'm sure Adam would. Guys, listen, we're overtime tonight, and it's like the only night where I'm actually time capped because I do have my group here with me, so I got to do dinner. Adam, if you want to answer a few more questions with Tommy, like I'm sure they would be open to it, or we could jet. I don't know. I think that you're pretty tight on time tonight too.
I'm okay. I can hang around, chat. I'll take another question or two. You can bounce out on us, and we're fine. I also want to challenge the group to challenge me on every time I come on here. Challenge me to bring you guys a book, right? So like I'm a big reader, and I'll try and do something that's related to what we're talking about right now. So if you guys remind me, because I'm terrible at being organized and remembering shit, that hey, what's the book this week? I'll tell you guys good read. So the two that come to mind for tonight, if you guys haven't read .com Secrets, I think that's a must read, and Blue Ocean Strategy. So two great reads. Those are kind of in the realm of this conversation that we had that impacted and helped me a lot. So
I love that, dude. I love that. Well, guys, he's going to stick around and answer some questions. I know for me, guys, this is my jump off point. Starting next week, we're going to go through offer creation. I'm going to give you guys things to consider. So I'm going to give you a piece of homework as well. And what I want you guys to think about is number one, who is your ideal client? And number two, I want you to write down all of their core desires, number one. And then number two, all of their current problems, their perceived inability to achieve those desires. All right. So define your ICA. Number one, what are their biggest desires? And number two, what are the biggest roadblocks or inabilities to achieve those desires? So that's my homework for you guys. Adam's going to drop more and more fire. Tommy, you're good, right, bro?
Yep. Sounds good.
Awesome. Guys, much love. We'll see you guys next week. Adam, I'll talk to you soon, dude.
Cool.
Bye, guys.
I'll take two more before I get out of here. So if you guys want to throw something at me or ask me anything personal or mind pump related, fire away. And shit, somebody just said something. So I'm on my phone. So Jason was reading the questions.
Well, I can go ahead and read them for you.
Oh, you're the man, dude.
Got you. So Miguel asked in the Zoom chat, what would be the structures you use to develop the onboarding sequence once the client has decided to work with you, i.e. training program, nutritional periodization, and accountability. So just kind of asking about overall onboarding, I guess.
Okay, so well, there's two. I feel like there's two questions there, right? There's stuff related to like what I'm giving that person as far as programming, and then are we talking more like onboarding somebody as a lead and then nurturing them into a sell? Is that where we're going?
Miguel, feel free to unmute yourself and clarify.
Yeah. Have him unmute. Let's have
Hey, how you going,
dialogue.
Adam? Yeah, so it's kind of like how do I say it? It's because Jason and you guys have always mentioned about like the offer and everything. So once you've kind of converted them into your program, how does it like what are like some templates that you guys have used to kind of structure it? I know you guys have mentioned like phases, for example, like in your map stuff, like in some of your periodization stuff, but how does it kind of like look like, if that makes sense? Of like phase 1, week 1 to 4 will look like such for your program. Then you've got phase 2 to look like this, and then moving on from that.
Yeah, you have two things that you're kind of asking, because getting someone in the programming and they've bought, they're customers, so they're good, right? So now it's just, what are they getting it served on? They're getting it served for us on a platform called Kajabi, which is just an online portal that gives you access. So if you buy one of my programs from me, we have, we have 20 different programs or so. And if you buy Maps Anabolic, we give you a login and password, and you now have access to this portal. Inside that portal, you open it up and you've got blueprints that basically tell you how to use the program, everything from sets, reps, how and why we periodized it. And then you also have Sal does like an intro video. So as soon as you come in, it clicks, and then he gives you like this overarching view. What is the program for? Why do you follow it this way? Why it's important to do the sets and reps this way? What to expect in phase 1? What to expect in phase 2? What to expect in phase 3? So that's how the program is set up. And if in Kajabi is the software that we deliver that on, and the platform we use. But then the other kind of question is like getting someone into an offer, which I think is the more important question. Like, how do we get that person to buy a program for us? And what was really hard for us was to, like I said earlier, how Jason and I are a little bit different on how we sell things, is because we had such a low entry level offer. It was really hard to convert somebody who's a really cold lead and convince them just through copy to buy from me. And we failed miserably at that before we kind of finally learned our lesson. Like, okay, this isn't working. Like, I can't get a guy who doesn't know who I am to come into my sales funnel, read a bunch of cool things, watch a cool video, and then boom, all of a sudden give me $70. Not happening. We needed to build value to this person over time. And what we found worked really well for us is we wrote these 5,000 word documents, and let's be very specific on who we're attracting. I want to get the young guy who's 27 years old who wants to build his arms. So we write a whole 5,000 word document. And what we do in that document is we are addressing all the hurdles. I can go back to 20 and I can remember being that kid and remembering how hard it was to eat enough calories, what exercises are better than others, the myths that are surrounded around that, the pitfalls of potentially overtraining, not getting enough sleep. I mean, we're going to give you all the rocks, all the really good things that are probably going to help that young kid build his arms, all for free. And then we're going to use a Facebook budget to promote it to people in that demographic. So I can make lookalike audiences. I can make a Facebook pixel of like a Jeff Nippert or somebody who probably attracts a lot of young 20-year-old guys. And I can go target his audience and give his audience this free guide on how to build their arms. Then you come in and you get all this great value with things for you to go apply, and you go do it. And you're like, oh shit, I put an inch on my arms. These guys at Mind Pump are awesome. Well, because you got that free guide from us, I also got your email. That's how you got it, right? In order to get the free guide, you opted into the email. Now that you're in my email and I know what type of person you are, so I use software like HubSpot so I can actually create these pools of people. I know that you're probably a young man between this age and you're interested in this because you downloaded that guide. I now have a series of 6 to 8 emails that I'm going to send you. And in each one of those emails, my goal is, again, to address the things that you may be challenged with and give you more free content. And a lot of times it comes with a YouTube video where we teach you some new exercise and why this is so valuable, or talking about the strength curve and positioning your elbow in different positions and how that's going to stimulate your biceps in a different way. And so these emails are going to come to you over the course of like the next 2 weeks, where you're just getting more value, more value. And at the very bottom of the page, after you get this all free, there's like, you want to know more information about our MAPS programs or have, us train you, click here. And that's it. Like, it's literally it's a more of a lead nurturing type of process instead of trying to get a hard sell. This works really well for us because trying to get to write the best copy to go out into a very competitive world around programs, we struggled with, like Jason said earlier, like, why? I'm not the cheapest program. So why buy my program when you don't know who I am? I could write the best copy in the world, and I'm probably not going to convince these people. So hopefully that helps a little bit. No?
Yeah, thanks, Apes. That was very helpful. Thank you.
Cool. All right, get another one.
One more then. Let's see. This next one looks like it's kind of taking the approach of like having two different clients that you're working with and figuring out how to kind of mix that together in your marketing. So the exact question is tips to create a unique system when you've got a mix of beginner strength and nutrition clients and long-term clients who want more structured programming and macro adjustments.
So unmute this person so I can talk to them, or have them, whoever this is, unmute so I can talk to you.
J-Dog, go ahead. And
Hi, that's me.
There you go.
Hi.
Hi.
So why can't we separate them and give them two different offers? That would be my first question.
Right. And that's kind of what my pathway has been too. But Jason kind of got me thinking about this whole idea of creating a system, like he was explaining this metabolic, zone, and then fat loss. And then, so I'm trying to think of it and obviously like put my own spin on it. But then I'm thinking, well, what about when I have clients that come and they just want programming? They've got a little bit more experience. Like, how do I make this system like kind of broader range than just these like people that just want like fat loss and metabolic adjustment?
So for me, I feel like this is a great opportunity to have two different systems, right? You have one that's designed to target the person who is clueless and no idea and needs all kinds of direction and to rebuild their metabolism. And then you also have a small group of people that are like super advanced lifters. They know everything. They don't need you to help them with all that. I just need maybe someone to help design my programming or whatever. To me, I would have, there'd be two offers here. There'd be kind of like the, life-changing program or life-changing offer, which is everything from rebuilding their metabolism to the program design to basically the holding your hand type of program. And then we have something for people that are more advanced. They feel very confident. They know what they need to be doing nutritionally. They feel confident in this. And if you're that person, then we have something over here that's this. So
yeah.
And any like marketing team will tell you is what actually one of our Achilles heel when we first started. When we first started, we had MAPS Anabolic. And it was designed. This is part of why our marketing failed early on, because we wrote that program before we had the audience, before we were selling all these programs. And we were having a hard time scaling because MAPS Anabolic was very masculine looking. What our message is all about is like, that's still the right program for her. It is. I mean, if you've never followed the MAPS program, you're just getting started lifting weights. I would tell you should follow MAPS Anabolic. But it's really hard to get somebody who doesn't know who you are to see that at first glance and think that that's the program for you. So that's where the whole becoming niche or getting your niche is so important. Is you have to be able to communicate to that. So we actually have different pathways for the same program that communicates MAPS Anabolic when we know we're speaking to females, and then MAPS Anabolic when we know we're talking about same program, same everything, but trying to fit them both into the same program and communicate it the same way wasn't working. So we had to divide that. So remember how I talked about the lead generation on Facebook and the free guides? We'd have one that are like flat tummy guides or post-pregnancy lose weight type of guides, stuff like that we obviously know is going to attract the majority or all women that are going to come in that category. So when they get those email sequences, they're getting similar, but not exactly the same. We're going to communicate it a little bit different on the benefits of the program. And even though they're getting the same program as the men, they're going to hear a different presentation on the program. So for me, if listening to your challenge, where you have sounds like kind of like these advanced people that kind of want to be with you, and then you have somebody who needs the whole metabolic reset and a lot more help. I mean, they can be the same program still, but in your copy and the way you will market to them and communicate that message should be different. Or else you're going to have a really hard time convincing, Sammy, who's an advanced lifter and she's been lifting her whole life, and you're going to try and get her to do this whole metabolic reset. And she's like, no, I already know that stuff. I don't need that. but you know that comes in every program. So you're like, shit, how do I do that? Okay, well, I'm not going to, when I'm writing her via email or copy, however you're doing it, however you're communicating, when I'm writing to her, I'm going to leave out though. I'm not going to put a lot of emphasis on the same things that I'm going to put on the client who I'm trying to sell that is brand new and scared and need to hear that I'm going to hold your hand all the way. When that other one, that might turn her off. She might be like, I don't want my hand held all the way. I just need a little bit of guidance. Give me the nuggets I need to know, and I'm going to head off that way. Even though they're the same program, they're both getting the way you communicate it to them. So I would write them up different on how you would present it, even if it's the same program, or make two completely separate programs. I think both those are options. So does that help? Or
that definitely helps. I even, like, a lot of times I'll have people in the middle of those two things too. They're not super advanced, but they're strength training and they feel good. And I've thought about making like some kind of leveled thing and just saying, you know, we'll do an assessment to see where you fall. So are you going to start at metabolic, or are you going to start at lifestyle? And we go from there. And that can go on forever because we can do programming and it gets a little bit more nitty gritty.
I used to have this presentation that I used to do with people that was kind of like a generic presentation that worked for everybody. And I would present my, 6-month package, year-long package, whatever it is, of all the things I offer, the things I'm going to do for you and everything. And then I'd say, the only thing we need to figure out now is which client you think you are. So I have 3 types of main clients that go through this program with me. I have my clients that they're super advanced. They've been lifting most of their life. They know what they're doing and they just need a little bit of guidance. Well, that client, I have them check in with me 1 time per week during this whole process in the program. So that's one option. Then I have the other extreme where I have someone who's like, Adam, I'm nervous to do this. I don't know what I'm doing. I trust you and I believe in you. And I don't want to ever not have you helping me all the way through this process. I know I'm in that part of my life now. I need that and I'm ready to commit to that. I'm that person. Okay, well then you're going to see me 3 times a week. And if you think you're somewhere in the middle, then you fall at the 2 times a week. So see what I did right there. Now I have a 6-month program. They're either training 1 day a week with me, 2 day a week with me, or 3 day a week with me, which is going to figure out the package that they're going to buy from me. And they are the ones that make the decision. So I just tell them that I have 3 different types of clients, and based off of who you think you are, and that makes them, which by the way, in selling, this is so important to get them to commit and say, yeah, oh yeah, that's me. Like I'm definitely somebody who I'm confident in what I'm doing. I just need the guidance, the tools, the nutrition program, the follow-up, the check-ins, and I feel confident. Or I have no idea what I'm doing. I love you. I feel like you've already taught me a lot and I'm so appreciative. And whatever you tell me I need to do, so you're the 3 time. And if you're somebody who's somewhere in the middle, I know I need a little more guidance than only once in a while, but I don't think I need complete hand holding, and I'd like to challenge myself a little bit. And there's nothing that stops you from presenting that as 2 times a week, 3 times a week, 4 times a week. You can play with those numbers. The real categories you're giving the real secret sauce here is that you're giving them 3 options, and you're giving them a very general idea of what type of clients that you take through this programming, and you allow them to be like, oh, that's me. Yeah, I'm that client. I'm that client. And then, okay, great. So that's 2 times a week. Oh, based off of 6 months. Okay, that's a total of, how many sessions that is? 12, 6. It's like 70 sessions, And however, I don't know how you sell your training, if you do it by session or program or whatever, but you can modify that presentation based off of that, if that helps.
Right. Thank you, Adam. I really appreciate that.
Cool. Awesome, you guys. All, I'm excited. Make sure you guys hold me accountable to the book thing. I promise. I tell you, most all of the stuff that I talk to you guys about, I learned it somewhere else, man. So challenge me to bring those every week. I'll make sure that I add value by doing that. Okay. Thank you all.
All right, guys. Have a good rest of your night. Thanks, Adam.
Okay, Jason here, and I hope you enjoyed that episode. And if you're looking for a few ways I can help you or your business grow, I want you to head over to applywithnci.com for a free 20-minute training on the exact methods and tactics I'm using with my highest level clients. Or you can head over to nutritioncoachingsecrets.com, grab my audiobook for just $1.99. And of course, if you're on Facebook, make sure you head over to our free group, Nutrition Coaching Secrets, where I'm hanging out every day, engaging, interacting, and answering your questions. But most importantly, I want to send you a thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your devotion to serving. And of course, thank you for choosing impact over everything.